But I do want to speak. I do want to speak about Viktor Gyokeres
let's talk about it, man.
as Clara brought up. It's 7 games now, as Clara says, without not 7 games in a row, but 7 games out of his 19 Premier League appearances this season, where he's not on a shot on target. And yesterday, Laurie had a big go at me on here when I said that I think the biggest thing that Gyökeres doesn't do is move. He runs in a straight line. And you could see it against Liverpool as well, is he runs in an absolute straight, with the ball or without the ball, he beelines for the goal. And I was saying to Laurie, the biggest thing that a striker needs to do is be able to move.
Movement.
Be able to movement and be able to kind of get off the... Like, if you're behind a defender, wait till he looks one way and then go the other. It's what Gyökeres didn't do. And there was such a perfect example of it in the Liverpool game. I think it was in the second half where a cross came in and literally the commentators were like, where's it? You might remember it from the game.
I think Virgil kind of like nudge. Is that when Virgil like nudges him? Like,
well, no, I can't remember who crosses it in. It's like in the second half, like 60th-ish minute. Cross comes in, and the commentator's just going, where is Gyökeres? And in the replay, he's like on the edge of the area as the ball's coming into the box, but space in front of him, and he's just kind of like jogging there. And the ball comes in. It's like he didn't realise there was a ball coming in. I don't know. I want to ask you this, and also you as well, Abby. Is the whole Gyökeres thing partly maybe to do with just the players are actually yet to click with him properly or understand, or he is yet to understand which are the right movements to make for his teammates, or is he just not as good as we thought he would be?
I think it's a mixture of all of that. I think on one hand, Viktor Gyokeres has been underperforming for quite a while now. I think at the start of the season, he's been thrown in the deep end in the sense that didn't have a pre-season with us, had to play from the first minute because we've had injuries. But he started to grow into the game a bit. Then he comes out. Then he has a 5-week injury. He's come back. He's not really lit it up. And I think as well, one of his issues is movement. Like I look at him sometimes, and I'm like,
stiff.
why do you always just want to go straight down the middle? It's like the reality is you could have done that at Sporting because they kind of just play those long boys over the top to you, but we don't really play like that, to be honest. So you kind of need to read your game a bit better. So maybe when Saka's got the ball and he's taken 3 defenders out, maybe you can go off a bit more to the left-hand side and make your run there, or do you know what I mean? Like
channel running as well.
I think he's sometimes he just kind of like he's just too comfortable trying to be in the middle. And the reality is, in the Prem, you're not gonna get between 2 centre backs most of the time like that. You're not.
Yeah.
You have to work on it. And I think what frustrates me about him is that he's not working on it. He's not trying to learn.
Working on it in training. Like I totally agree with you. I think it's like the lack of like dynamism. Like he doesn't have like maybe not to say he hasn't got footballing brain, but like it's very different being a striker part between 2 centre halves in
there's no second
in the
run.
Portuguese league. But it's having that awareness, having that movement, having the striker's instinct, which I feel that we have completely lacked of seeing of Gyökeres since he's obviously come to the Prem. At the same time, I think we spoke about it a few weeks ago that you haven't necessarily played to his strengths. Having and adding an out 9 to your attack.
You'd think
you would, but I compare again 2 very different players. I'm not making a comparison between the 2. But when Manchester City decided to go from the false 9 to having an out in Haaland, they did struggle. They struggled for a good 5-6 months of working out what that looked like, and eventually obviously it clicks. Again, we're talking about a superhuman player in Haaland, and we're talking about Viktor Gyokeres, very, very different levels. But I think that's also a thing for Arsenal, that they've struggled to adapt to having that number 9, that focal point. But you did need a 9. But absolutely. Do I think that Kai Havertz comes straight back into the team? 100%.
I think, well, at the moment, I said already, I don't care as long as we win the league. If we win the league with Havertz or Jesus or Gyökeres up top or flipping Marino, I don't care. Bring me the league. That's all I care about. But with Viktor Gyokeres, I think if we look at someone like Erling Haaland, and the reason why Erling Haaland is the best of the best is because look at his movement in games. He doesn't have to touch the ball to be effective. He's constantly moving. He's not just going between the 2 centre-backs. He's going over to the left. He's going into the right.
Nightmare for the whole back line.
Exactly. He's
no one knows where he's going to be
picking out. He's constantly picking out these pockets of space. Igor Thiago is the same. Constantly picking out these pockets of space. Unlike I look at Viktor Gyokeres like you've chosen one pocket and you just want to sit in there.
Also,
and
the first touch.
And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not saying that you need to be the most technical. All you need to do is score. But the reality is the way you're trying to play in between 2 centre backs, you kind of need technicality. So if you know that's not part of your game, you need to adapt in other areas. But our main issue as an Arsenal team is chance creation. I've been saying this for over a season. That's why we went and got Eze, because our issue is chance creation. Do you know the amount of games last season where we would actually be dominating possession, but we do not create enough chance? If it's not Saka, it's dead. That's literally it. And we're still the same this season. Odegaard has had his injuries. Look, I think against Liverpool, the whole team wasn't good. But in the last 3 or 4 games, we're starting to see Odegaard of old, which has been, a breath of fresh air. But the reality is, our chance creation is so poor.
And what does that come down to? The focus that it's mostly on defensive and not losing a game rather than actually being on a front foot and winning the game.
But do you know what, right? I look at that Liverpool game and to me, I see a manager that set up to win the game. Like, he put out his strongest team, he put out his best players, and they just failed to do it. Like, I saw moments in that game where Declan Rice, we're trying to win a game. Declan Rice is telling Raya, don't do a fast kick out. Slow down. And I'm like, what do you mean slow down, mate?
Yeah.
We've got 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
It's 0-0.
Yeah.
We could be going 8 points clear. You're telling the goalkeeper to slow down. You do that when you're 1-0 up and you want to protect the lead. And I generally think sometimes the players, I know a lot of people are like, it's Arteta, he's coach. Like, no, I'm sorry. The amount of times I see like Odegaard make the same predictable runs, put more to your game.
Yeah.
Good players, the best players in the world, add things to their game each season. That's why for me,
they reinvent themselves.
That's why I love Saka, because Saka's a player where when he first came in, he's like, actually, I need to work on my other foot. I need to work on heading. And that's why now, when he's got the ball, you feel confident that he can score or create chaos because he's worked on those things. I feel like a lot of players in our team, like an Odegaard, where he's maybe stunted his own growth, like a Martinelli, where they've stunted their own growth, is they've not added more things to their game.
They hit a certain ceiling and then don't
so
make
where
a new
certain
one
teams now come to
else.
us and they're like, right, we know Arsenal now, we just got to put in a low mid block and just counter-attack. Someone like Martin Odegaard's like, damn, what do I do? Because I can't play my through ball anymore because there's about 10 people there.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What are you going to adapt to your game? That's what frustrates me. Our chance creation is so bad.
But that's why you're so, and you always have had such a focus on set pieces and on corners.
Yeah, we had to
because that is the way that you bypass a low block, and that is what has made Arsenal so successful at it.
I think even this season, like when we beat Bayern, when we beat Atletico, our first goals were set pieces in those games. Now, don't get me wrong, when we played Bayern, I think in the first half, it was 2 very, very good teams. When we played Atletico in the first half, they literally did what Liverpool did. Just came to defend. We got off set piece. We got a corner from all of our attacking play.
Premier Waste Management Limited has said, hot take, Gyökeres doesn't start for more than half the teams in the Premier League.
At the moment, yeah.
In the moment, he doesn't.
He doesn't, because he's underperforming massively. He needs to fix up, fam.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
We need the goals.
It's just on the subject of Gyökeres and also talking about Ekitike, obviously, and Šeško and co. I want to rank top 3 best attacking signings in the Prem from the summer.
Oh, from the summer. So this rules out Igor Thiago. Because I was because
Igor Thiago is, I know, but technically he was last summer. We can add Igor Thiago if you want in there, but realistically he was signed last summer.
If he's last summer, then...
Because in my eyes, realistically...
Well, he didn't really play.
He didn't play because
he played
did an ACL,
130 minutes.
He did an ACL
He did
last
130 minutes.
Can we count him?
Let's count
because
him.
If we count him...
Because he's in my top 3,
But because if we count him, then I feel like our top 3 is all going to be Igor Thiago and Ekitike, and then there's one slot left.
I'm trying to think about other teams.